In the name of Allah, may peace and salutations be showered upon the Prophet and upon his family and companions. To proceed, we welcome you all warmly to tonight's lecture, which is by our Sheikh Muhammad Al-Khayyat. May Allah preserve him. And tonight's lecture is on the topic of the history of fasting. So we ask Allah Azza wa Jal, ask Allah the Most High to open up for our Sheikh. And without further ado, we give the floor to our Sheikh Muhammad Khayyat, Hafidahullah, may Allah preserve him. فليتفضلوا مشكورا. الله يبارك فيكم شيخنا.
جزاك الله خيرا وبارك الله فيك. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام الأتمان الأكملان على نبينا محمد الأمين وعلى آله وأصحابه والتابعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد.
Indeed, all praises are due to Allah, the Lord of all creation, and may the most complete salutations and blessings be showered upon the Prophet Muhammad and upon his family and companions to the day of resurrection. To proceed.
إن الصوم من العبادات التي لم ينفرد بها الإسلام.
Fasting is a type of worship that wasn't specific to the religion of Islam.
فقد أخبر القرآن الكريم أن الصوم كان مفروضا أيضا على الأمم السابقة.
And the Quran, the noble Quran, it tells us that the act of worship of fasting was something that was prescribed upon the previous nations.
قال الله تعالى: يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون.
Allah the Most High says in the Quran that which means, O you who have believed, fasting has been prescribed upon you as it was prescribed upon those who came before you, so that you may achieve closeness and consciousness of Allah.
ومن الأدلة من السنة على أن من قبلنا كانوا يصومون قول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم.
And from the evidences of the statements of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, is his statement,
إن أحب الصيام إلى الله صيام داود عليه الصلاة والسلام وأحب الصلاة إلى الله صلاة داود كان ينام نصف الليل ويقوم ثلثه وينام سدسه. وهنا موضع الشاهد: وكان يصوم يوما ويفطر يوما. متفق عليه.
And that's the statement of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. Indeed, the most beloved of fasting was the fasting of the Prophet of Allah, David. And indeed, he described, Sheikhna, أحب الصيام إلى الله أو الصيام والصلاة.
أيوة.
أي نعم.
أحب الصيام يعني هذا طبعا في صوم النافلة وليس في صوم الفريضة.
أثابكم الله. أثابكم الله شيخنا. So the most beloved fasting to Allah was the fasting of David. He used to sleep half of the night, and then he would stand in prayer for a third of the night, and then he would stand in prayer a further sixth of the night. And then he would, in his fasting, and this is the point of evidence in the narration, he would fast on alternate days. So he'd fast one day and break fast the next.
وأيضا هنا قوله عليه الصلاة والسلام: أحب الصلاة إلى الله يعني صلاة النافلة وليست صلاة الفريضة، فإن صلاة الفريضة أعظم من صلاة النافلة ولا شك.
And this, the fasting and the prayer, this is in relation to the optional acts of prayer, or those that are on top of the obligatory, because the principle is that the most beloved acts of worship to Allah are the obligatory ones.
وقيل إن صوم نبينا آدم أبونا آدم عليه الصلاة والسلام كان أيام البيض، وهي اليوم 13 و14 و15 من كل شهر هجري، وسميت بأيام البيض لأن الليل يكون فيها كالنهار، لأن القمر يكون بدرا فتكون الأرض منيرة، لأن الدنيا ظلمة ولم يكن يعني هناك لمبات ونحو ذلك وإضاءة، فلذلك سميت أيام البيض لأن الليل يكون فيها كالنهار من شدة الإضاءة.
And it's been said that the fasting of Adam, upon him be peace, was during the white days. And the white days are the 13th, 14th, and 15th of the month. And it's important to say that's the lunar month. And that's because the illumination of the moon at night means that the night is like the day. The nights are white. Therefore, them being called the white days.
ولما قدم النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إلى المدينة مهاجرا من مكة، وجد الناس يصومون يوم عاشوراء، وهو يوم العاشر من شهر الله المحرم من كل عام.
And when the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, went to Medina, he found the people there, they would fast on the day of Ashura, which you could spell A-S-H A-R-A-A-H. And that was the 10th of the month of Muharram, M-U-H-A-R-A-M.
فقال ما هذا؟ يعني لماذا تصومون هذا اليوم؟ قالوا هذا يوم أنجى الله فيه موسى عليه الصلاة والسلام وأغرق فيه فرعون فلذلك نصومه.
And he asked the people, why are you fasting on this day? And they responded and said, this was the day in which Allah saved his prophet Moses. So we fast as a means of giving thanks to him.
فقال عليه الصلاة والسلام نحن أحق بموسى منكم فصام ذلك اليوم شكرا لله وأمر بصيامه.
So the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, indeed, we have more right to Moses than they do. So then he fasted and he ordered the people to fast on that day.
ولا زلنا نصومه إلى يومنا هذا إذا جاء يوم العاشر من شهر الله المحرم، ونصوم يوما قبله أو يوما بعده مخالفة لأهل الكتاب كما أمرنا النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بذلك.
And we continue to fast this day as Muslims when the 10th of the month of Allah, Muharram, comes. And in conformity to the order of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, to differ from the people of the book, we add an additional fast either a day before it or a day after it.
ولله أن يحكم في عباده ما يشاء وما يريد.
And Allah the Most High can legislate that which he wants and is pleased with for his slaves.
وأصل دين الرسل والأنبياء واحد وهو التوحيد.
And the root and foundation of the faith of the prophets and messengers is one, and that is monotheism.
كما قال تعالى ولقد بعثنا في كل أمة رسولا أن اعبدوا الله واجتنبوا الطاغوت.
As Allah the Most High said, that which means, and indeed we sent to every nation a messenger to worship Allah and to stay away from all of those things that are worshipped, followed and obeyed other than He.
وقال تعالى عن قول الأنبياء لأقوامهم اعبدوا الله ما لكم من إله غيره.
And Allah the Most High told us about the statement and the commandment of the prophets to their respective people. where they ordered the people to worship Allah and to leave that which was worshipped other than him or besides him.
فدعوة الأنبياء واحدة قائمة على إفراد الله تعالى بالعبادة وعدم إشراك غيره معه في العبادة.
So the essence of the religion of the prophets is one, and that's the foundation that the people should worship none other than Allah, and they should shun anything that is worshipped or venerated besides him.
أما شرائع العبادات كالحج والصوم والصلاة وسائر الأحكام هذه قد تختلف من نبي إلى نبي.
As for the legislated means and the legislated acts of worship for each messenger, like Hajj, like fasting, like praying, these may differ from one legislation to the other.
تختلف في عدد أيام الصيام وقد تختلف في عدد الصلوات وفي طريقة التوبة إلى الله أو في تحريم بعض الأطعمة على بعض الأمم السابقة وإباحتها لأمم أخرى وهكذا.
So it could be that the number of days that were fasted, that were obligated upon one nation, differed to another's, or the number of daily prayers differed from one nation to another. Or it could have been that for some nations, certain types of foods were unlawful, whereas they were permitted for others.
كما قال تعالى لكل جعلنا منكم شرعة ومنهاجا، أي لكل نبي شرعة ومنهاج يختلف عن النبي الآخر.
And this is as Allah says, that which means, and indeed we made a legislation and a methodology for each of the prophets. So all of them had their own legislation.
ولو أردنا أن نعرف الصوم في اللغة، الصوم في اللغة هو الإمساك. تقول ما لك صائم عن زيارتنا، أي ممسك وممتنع عن زيارتنا، لماذا لا تزورنا؟
And if we were to define fasting in the Arabic language, then it is to withhold or not to do something. And it is said, what's with you, that you are, like literally in Arabic, what's wrong with you, or what's the case with you that you are fasting from visiting us, i.e. you're refraining from visiting us, like why aren't you visiting us?
ويقال للصمت صوم لأنه إمساك عن الكلام.
And it's said about the person who is silent and not talking that they are fasting, like linguistically, because they've restrained themselves and withheld from speaking.
قال الله تعالى مخبرا عن مريم عليه السلام.
Allah the Most High said, telling us about Maryam, Mary, upon her be peace,
أن ابنها قال إني نذرت للرحمن صوما فلن أكلم اليوم إنسيا، أي سكوتا عن الكلام. هي التي قالت إني نذرت للرحمن صوما، أي سكوتا عن الكلام.
So she said, so in the Quran it says that she says, indeed I have made a vow to the most merciful, i.e. I have vowed to Allah, inni nadhartu lirrahmani sawma, indeed I have vowed to the most merciful that I will be fasting, so I will not speak to any individual or any person today.
وفي الاصطلاح الشرعي معنى الصوم هو التعبد لله بالإمساك عن المفطرات من شخص مخصوص من طلوع الفجر إلى غروب الشمس. التعبد لله بالإمساك عن المفطرات.
So if we were to define it in the language of the Islamic legislation, it is to worship Allah the Most High via withholding from the things that nullify the fast
من شخص مخصوص
from a specific individual
من طلوع الفجر إلى غروب الشمس.
from the breaking of the Fajr until the setting of the sun.
والآن نشرح هذا التعريف شرحا مختصرا.
And now we'll explain this definition briefly.
التعبد لله بالإمساك، فلو أن إنسانا أمسك عن المفطرات ولم يأكل من طلوع الشمس إلى غروبها من غير نية الصيام فلا يقال عنه أنه صائم في الشرع، يعني وإن كان صائما في اللغة لكن في الشرع لا يقال أنه صائم، لأنه لم ينوي التعبد لله، إنما امتنع عن الطعام والشراب والجماع من طلوع الشمس إلى غروب الشمس من غير نية الصيام، فلا يقال عنه أنه صائم شرعا.
So the first portion of this definition is that it is to worship Allah through withholding. So the essence of fasting is that the individual withholds from eating, drinking, and having relations. But they do so with the intention of worshipping Allah. So the individual who doesn't drink or eat or have any relations, but does not have the intention of fasting, if it as an act of worship, then in the language and upon the tongue of the Islamic legislation, they are not fasting. They are not fasting. The ruling is that they are not fasting because their intention is not present. Even if we look at the language and the tongue of simply linguistically the Arabic language, we would say that they are fasting. However, technically, in the language and the eyes of the Islamic legislation, they are not fasting because we have not made this intention.
قوله عن المفطرات وهي الطعام والشراب والجماع.
And our statement that they withhold from those things that break the fast, they are in essence eating, drinking, and having sexual relations.
قوله من شخص مخصوص حتى يخرج الكافر والمجنون والصبي، لأن هؤلاء الثلاثة لا يصح منهم الصيام. يعني حتى الكافر لا يصح منه الصيام، والمجنون كذلك، والصبي غير المميز كذلك لا يصح منه الصيام لأنه يحتاج إلى نية.
And when they say that this is a withholding from a specific individual, they use this to exclude from the definition the person who does this who is not a Muslim, or the person who does this who is not of sound mind, or the person who does this and is a small child. That's because these individuals are not from the people who have been charged with acting in accordance to the Sharia, or with the person who is not of sound mind. It's specifically due to the fact that they cannot make the intention.
وقوله من طلوع الفجر إلى غروب الشمس هذا معروف، يعني من أذان الفجر إلى أذان المغرب.
Yeah, and as for their statement from the breaking of the Fajr until the setting of the sun, then this is clear.
قول الله سبحانه وتعالى كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم، أي كتب عليكم الصيام مشبها كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم، وفيه تسلية وتمهيد أن الامتناع عن الطعام والشراب والشهوات في فترة الصوم ليس خاصا بكم، وإنما قد كتبه الله على الأمم التي من قبلكم.
And if we go back to the verse of the Quran that we mentioned at the beginning, fasting has been prescribed upon you as it was prescribed upon those who came before you. Here it is mentioned that this fasting and this withholding from food and drink, etc., it was prescribed upon those who came before you as an encouragement and as a means of motivating the Muslims that they are not alone, or they have not been alone in the charge and in the responsibility to fast.
وأن المقصد منه الصوم ليس تعذيبكم ولا المشقة عليكم ولا الانتقام منكم.
And that the intent, that Allah makes clear, the intent behind fasting isn't to punish, and it's not punitive, and it's not to put you under unnecessary duress or afflict you unnecessarily.
بل هو لصالحكم لكي تنالوا التقوى من الله تعالى.
Rather, it is for your benefit that you may achieve this state of having consciousness of Allah the Most High.
ومن حقق التقوى فقد فاز فوزا عظيما.
And whosoever has actualized consciousness of Allah, then they have achieved a great benefit and been successful in a great way.
ومآله ومصيره إلى السعادة في الدنيا والآخرة.
And their outcome and their destination is happiness and contentment in the life of this world and the hereafter.
والفوز بالجنة والنجاة من النار.
And that they'll be successful by going to the paradise and avoiding the fire.
لأنه قال في نهاية الآية لعلكم تتقون.
Because Allah says in the end of the verse, so that you may achieve consciousness and awareness of Allah.
وقال أيضا مبينا مدة الصيام أنها أياما معدودات وسرعان ما تنقضي وتذهب.
And also explaining the period of fasting, Allah the Most High refers to the period, the month of fasting, as a number of days. So there are a limited number of days that will come and will pass.
ومعنى كتب أي فرض ووجب بلا خلاف بين المسلمين.
And the meaning of it has been prescribed upon you, i.e., it has been ordained and legislated and made obligatory upon you without any difference of the Muslims. There's no difference that the Muslims have in this interpretation.
وهو واجب بإجماع المسلمين وأحد أركان الإسلام الخمسة.
And it is obligatory by the consensus of the Muslims, and it is one of the 5 pillars of Islam.
كما قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إن الله كتب عليكم الحج فحجوا أي فرض عليكم الحج فحجوا.
And the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, indeed, Allah has prescribed upon you, i.e., he has made obligatory upon you the Hajj. So hasten to make the Hajj. So make the Hajj.
وأيضا قال عليه الصلاة والسلام 5 صلوات كتبهن الله في اليوم والليلة يعني فرضهن وأوجبهن في اليوم والليلة.
And also the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said 5 prayers that have been prescribed upon you, i.e., made obligatory upon you in your day and night.
وقال مجاهد وهو من التابعين كتب الله عز وجل صوم شهر رمضان على كل أمة يعني من الأمم السابقة.
And Mujahid, one of the followers of the companions of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, one of those who took knowledge from the companions of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, indeed Allah prescribed fasting upon every nation. شيخنا ذكر كتب الله صوم رمضان على كل أمة هكذا؟
على كل أمة نعم يعني من الأمم السابقة.
أثابكم الله. Yes, so Allah the Most High has prescribed fasting Ramadan upon all of the previous nations.
واختلف أهل التفسير في موضع التشبيه يعني ما هو وجه الشبه؟ هل أن الله سبحانه وتعالى فرض الصوم على كل الأمم السابقة التي من قبلنا شهر رمضان أو أيام أخرى مختلفة غير رمضان؟ اختلفوا في ذلك، لكن مجاهد يقول أن المراد هو شهر رمضان في كل الأمم.
And the scholars of explanation of the Quran, they have a difference of opinion. عفوا can you hear me؟ تسمعون؟ انقطع.
أسمعك.
حفظكم الله. So as Allah the Most High says, fasting has been prescribed upon you as it was prescribed upon those who came before you. This Allah's making a likeness of the prescription of fasting upon us to those who came before us. The scholars of explanation of the Quran have a difference of opinion. What's the similarity between our fasting and theirs? So some of them say that it's because fasting was prescribed upon all of them during Ramadan. So they all fasted during Ramadan, but in a different way. And some of them say, and this was the opinion of Mujahid, who we've just mentioned, but others say that it was prescribed outside of Ramadan.
نعم. فقيل التشبيه أنه يرجع إلى وقت الصوم وقدر الصوم.
And it's also said that the similitude between our fasting and the previous nations is down to the timing of fasting and the duration of fasting.
يعني مثل رمضان تماما، مثل وقتنا ومثل صومنا، نفس عدد الأيام ونفس الوقت.
So it's the same amount as we do now during Ramadan, the same time and the same duration.
جاء في بعض الآثار أن الله تعالى كتب على قوم موسى وعيسى عليهم السلام صوم رمضان فغيروا، يعني أحبارهم وعلماءهم غيروا تلك الأيام.
And in some of the narrations it's been said that Moses and Jesus, they fasted during Ramadan, but then their people, the scholars of their respective religions, changed their religions and they changed the practices that the people followed, so the people no longer did this.
فغيروا عليهم فزادوا 10 أيام، يعني أصبح الصوم 40 يوما، لأن شخصا منهم من علمائهم مرض فنذر وحلف إن شفاه الله أن يزيد في الصوم 10 أيام، فشفاه الله فزاد 10 أيام.
So they changed it and they began to fast 40 days. And it was said that this was because there was an individual from them, a righteous man from amongst them, who became sick during Ramadan. And he said, if Allah gives me good health, then I will fast an extra 10 days. So he convalesced and he became better. And then he fasted an extra 10 days at the end of the 30. So he fasted 40. And then it became a practice amongst the people.
واستحب بعض علمائهم أن يزيد 10 أيام أخرى فزاد 10 فأصبح صومهم 50 يوما.
And then some of their scholars recommended the people add an additional 10 days to that. So it became a total of 50 days fasting.
فصعب عليهم أن يصوموا 50 يوما في الحر وشدة الحرارة، فنقلوا الصوم إلى فصل الربيع حتى يكون الجو مناسبا.
So this became difficult for them and tiresome for them, especially in the hot summer days. So it became that 50 days during the summer was too much. So they moved the period of fasting from that time to being in the spring when the weather and the temperature was more temperate.
وقيل أنه اشتد على النصارى صيام رمضان وجعل يتقلب عليهم في الشتاء والصيف، مرة يأتي في الصيف ومرة يأتي في الشتاء، فلما رأوا ذلك اجتمعوا فجعلوا الصيام في الفصل بين الشتاء والصيف، يعني في الربيع، وقالوا نزيد 20 يوما نكفر بها عما صنعنا فجعلوا صيامهم 50 يوما.
شيخنا ما وجه لم أفهم وجه الزيادة هنا، لماذا زادوا إلى 50 في هذا
هم قالوا الصوم يأتي مثلا في شدة الحر، وأرادوا أن ينقلوا الصوم من الحر إلى الربيع، فقالوا كفارة لذلك لأننا زدنا هذه الزيادة وهي ليست من عند الله، نصوم بدلا منها زيادة 20 يوما فأصبحت 50.
أثابكم الله. أثابكم الله. So, and it's been said that because they moved this season of fasting from the long summer days to the spring, because they did this as a means of expiation and a means of making up for this, they fasted and they legislated that they would fast an extra 20 days.
والمسلمون لا يزيدون في دين الله شيئا إطلاقا.
And it's not permissible to increase anything in the religion of Allah at all.
لا في الصوم ولا في الصلاة ولا في الحج ولا في الزكاة.
Whether it be in fasting or praying or zakah or even pilgrimage, in any of the acts of worship, this is something that is not permitted.
ولا يزيدون حرفا واحدا من القرآن.
Nor is it permitted to increase a single letter in the Quran.
ولا ينقصون من عبادتهم شيئا ولا ينقصون من أحرف القرآن الكريم حرفا واحدا.
Nor do they decrease, nor should the people decrease anything of the acts of the legislated acts of worship, nor should they decrease or take away even a single letter from the Quran.
بل يتبعون ما جاء عن الله وعن الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم.
Rather, they should follow that which has come on the authority or that which has come from Allah on the authority of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him.
كما أمرهم الله تعالى بقوله وأطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول.
As Allah the Most High ordered the believers and follow and obey Allah and follow and obey the Messenger.
وقوله تعالى وما آتاكم الرسول فخذوه وما نهاكم عنه فانتهوا.
And Allah's statement, and that which the Messenger comes to you with, then take it, and that which he has prohibited you from, then stay away from it.
وليس لأحد من الناس عالما أو حاكما أو شخصا عاديا أن يزيد أو ينقص في دين الإسلام شيئا لأن الدين كامل.
And it's not for anyone, whether they be a learned individual or not learned individual or just an ordinary person, to increase or legislate within the religion of Islam anything, because the religion of Islam is complete.
قال تعالى اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي ورضيت لكم الإسلام دينا.
Allah the Most High said that, which means today I have completed my favor. I have completed your religion. اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم
وأتممت عليكم نعمتي
ورضيت لكم الإسلام دينا. And I've completed today I've completed for you your religion and completed my favor upon you and have been pleased for you. I have been pleased as Islam. I've been pleased with Islam for you as a religion. Sorry, Tom.
وهذه الآية نزلت في حجة الوداع في آخر حياة النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قبل موته بأشهر قليلة.
And this verse from the Quran was revealed during the farewell Hajj pilgrimage, merely months before the demise of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him.
وقال تعالى ومن يبتغي غير الإسلام دينا فلن يقبل منه وهو في الآخرة من الخاسرين عياذا بالله.
And Allah the Most High says that, which means, and whosoever seeks a religion other than Islam, فَمَنْ يَبْتَغِي غَيْرَ الْإِسْلَامِ دِينًا, it will not be accepted from them, and they will be from amongst the losers in the hereafter.
وقيل إن التشبيه راجع إلى أصل وجوبه على ما تقدم، بمعنى أن التشبيه راجع إلى أنه كتب على الذين من قبلكم الصوم وكتب عليكم صوم، لكن الصيامان يختلفان، لهم صومهم وطريقتهم ولكم صومكم أيها المسلمون وطريقتكم.
And it's also been said that the parallel between the prescription of fasting upon us and upon the previous nations is that it was made obligatory. So just as it was made obligatory upon us, it was made obligatory upon the previous nations.
والمعنى أن الله سبحانه وتعالى كتب عليكم الصيام في أول الإسلام 3 أيام من كل شهر ويوم عاشوراء، ثم نسخ ذلك وكتب الله على المسلمين صيام شهر رمضان، يعني أن الله تدرج في فرضية الصوم.
And this is because fasting was originally prescribed as 3 days of every month, and on top of that, the day of Ashura, as we have said. And then after this ruling was abrogated, and it was superseded with the obligation of fasting during Ramadan. And in this way, the Islamic legislation was staged. There was a staging of the commandments in the Islamic legislation.
وهذا التدرج معروف في الإسلام، كما أن الله سبحانه وتعالى تدرج في تحريم الخمر، يعني أول في البداية قال لا تشربوها يعني بين الصلوات، اشربوها مثلا بعد العشاء حتى إذا جاء الفجر يكون الإنسان قد استيقظ من سكرته وكذا، ثم حرمت. تدرج، هناك تدرج في تحريم الخمر، ثم في المرحلة الثالثة أنها إيش؟ حرمت على التأبيد.
And similarly, there was a staging of the prohibition of alcohol in Islam. So initially, the first stage was that it was prohibited to drink alcohol between the prayers, or you weren't supposed to drink so that it would affect your prayer. And then after the Salat al-Isha, it was permitted. But then it was made more stringent, so that the people shouldn't drink after Isha, such that it would affect them waking up for Salat al-Fajr. And then in the third stage, it was prohibited completely.
وقال الإمام الطبري شيخ المفسرين اختار القول الراجح بأن الأمم السابقة كتب عليهم صيام شهر رمضان كما كتب على المسلمين شهر رمضان، يعني المسلمون كتب عليهم صيام شهر رمضان كما كتب على اليهود والنصارى أيضا شهر رمضان 30 يوم.
سبحان الله. The Imam الطبري Attabari, who is called the Sheikh, the learned one of the explainers of the Quran. That was the title that was given to him. He said that the strongest opinion is the opinion that fasting during Ramadan was prescribed upon the previous nations, just as it was prescribed upon you.
وقال هذا القول أولى بالصواب وهو قول جماعة من التابعين منهم الشعبي وقتادة والحسن وغيرهم.
And he said, this view and this stance, this is the most worthy of being correct and the most likely of being correct. And it's the statement and opinion of a number of the students of the companions of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. From them, Ash-Sha'bi, Qatada, and other than them.
وقيل إن الصوم كان على النصارى هو الامتناع من الأكل والشرب والنكاح، فإذا حان الإفطار فلا يفعل هذه الأشياء من نام منهم، بمعنى أن من أذن المغرب مثلا، وهذا كان أيضا في أول الإسلام هذا الأمر، أن الشخص إذا كان صائما وأذن المغرب وهو نائم ثم استيقظ بعد المغرب لا يحل له أن يأكل أو يشرب أو ينكح حتى مغرب اليوم الثاني، يعني يكون صيامه بذلك 48 ساعة.
And it was the way of the Christians that they would fast from eating, drinking, and relations, marital relations. And this was the and the setup that's going to be described now was also the case at the first period of Islam. And this is that if the individual was asleep at the time of the Maghrib prayer, and then they woke up, it wouldn't be permitted for them to eat, drink, or have relations until the next day, i.e. until the next Maghrib prayer. So because they were asleep at that time and they woke up after the time of Maghrib, they would have to fast 48 hours. They would have to continue fasting.
ثم نسخ هذا الأمر في أواخر عهد حياة النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بإنزال الله سبحانه وتعالى قوله عز وجل: أحل لكم ليلة الصيام الرفث إلى نسائكم.
And then this was abrogated in the latter days of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, where Allah the Most High says that, which means on the nights of your fasting, your relations with your wives is lawful. So this ruling was abrogated.
فكان ذلك تخفيف من الله ورحمة على عباده.
So this was a mercy and a concession from Allah.
وسبب هذا النسخ جاء في قصة رواها الإمام البخاري في صحيحه.
And the reason for this abrogation is a story that's been reported by Imam Bukhari in his book of authentic narrations.
حيث إن أصحاب محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا كان الرجل صائما فحضر الإفطار فنام قبل أن يفطر.
Whereby if one of the companions of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was fasting and fell asleep during the Maghrib time while fasting,
لم يأكل ليلته ولا يومه حتى يمسي.
he would not then eat that night or drink or have relations until the following night.
فكان أحد الصحابة رضي الله تعالى عنه صائما، وفي رواية كان يعمل في النخيل بالنهار وكان صائما.
So one of the companions was fasting, and it was said that he was working with the date palm trees during the day, and he was fasting.
فلما حضر الإفطار أتى امرأته فقال لها: أعندك الطعام؟ يعني قبل الغروب.
So when it was approaching the time of Maghrib and the time to break the fast, his wife came to him and he asked her, have you got food? Is there food to eat?
قالت: لا، ولكن أنطلق فأطلب لك، يعني أنطلق فأبحث لك شيئا تأكله.
She said, no, but wait and I will go and seek something for you to eat. I'll go and find something for you.
وكان يومه ونهاره يعمل بالنخيل في النهار تحت الشمس فغلبته عيناه، يعني نام قبل أن يؤذن المغرب.
And this was a man who was working hard labor. He was working on the trees, the date palm trees, in the extreme heat of the day. So while his wife was out looking for food, he fell asleep before the adhan of Maghrib.
فجاءته امرأته بعد المغرب فوجدته نائما، ومعنى ذلك أنه سيستمر في صومه إلى اليوم التالي بعد المغرب.
Subhanallah, radiallahu ta'ala.
نعم.
So his wife came and found him asleep. So this would mean that he would have to fast and remain fasting until Maghrib of the next day.
فلما رأته نائما قالت له خيبة لك، يعني كأنها تهزئه وتلومه، لماذا نمت؟ خيبة لك.
And when she saw him, she said, sort of, woe unto you. So she lamented him because he'd fallen asleep.
فاستمر طبعا صائما، فلما انتصف النهار يعني جاء وقت الظهر في اليوم التالي غشي عليه، أي أغمي عليه من الجوع والعطش.
So he carried on fasting. And then when it came to the next day, around the time of Salat al-Dhuhr, he fainted due to his extreme tiredness and his extreme thirst and his dehydration.
فذكر ذلك للنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم عن حاله، فنزلت هذه الآية: أحل لكم ليلة الصيام الرفث إلى نسائكم، فنسخ الله ذلك الحكم حتى لو نام المرء واستيقظ بعد الأذان له أن يأكل ويشرب وينكح.
So this was mentioned to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. And then upon that, this verse that we have mentioned was revealed. It has been made permitted for you, your women, on the nights that you are fasting. So this was revealed and the ruling was changed. So such that the individual, if they fell asleep during the Maghrib prayer and then they woke up between the Maghrib Adhan and then they woke up shortly afterwards, they were then permitted to eat, drink and have relations.
ففرحوا لما أحل الله لهم ما كان محرما.
So they were very pleased that Allah the Most High had made permissible that which was impermissible.
ونزل قوله تعالى: وكلوا واشربوا حتى يتبين لكم الخيط الأبيض من الخيط الأسود من الفجر، أي أباح لهم الأكل والشرب والنكاح من غروب الشمس إلى أذان الفجر.
And then Allah the Most High revealed the verse, and eat and drink until it becomes clear to you the black thread and the white thread of Fajr become clear to you. So that was the point at which food, drink and relations were permitted until Fajr had become clear.
والمتتبع لفرائض الله على عباده وما تعبدهم به.
عفوا شيخنا معذرة لم أسمع.
الذي يتتبع نصوص القرآن والسنة فيما فرض الله على عباده.
So the one who follows the texts of the Quran and the Sunnah as relates to those things that have been made obligatory upon them,
يجد فيها من المنافع والمصالح التي تنصلح بها أحوال العباد.
they will find that within these acts of within these rights, there are things that rectify their affairs and rectify their lives.
ويتحقق بها فوزهم وسعادتهم في الدنيا والآخرة.
And through these rights, their happiness and contentment is actualized and made real in the life of this world before the life of the hereafter.
ففي الإمساك عن الأكل والشرب تسكين للنفس، هدوء سكون وهدوء للنفس.
أثابكم الله شيخنا. So from withholding eating and drinking, it gives peace to the soul.
وقهر لشهواتها.
And it cuts its desires.
وإرجاع لها عن الاستمرار في اللذات والشهوات.
And it encourages it not to keep pursuing its desires.
وارتفاع روح الإخلاص
and it lifts the spirit of sincerity that the individual has.
والتحلي بالفضائل
And it encourages the person to adorn themselves with virtuous actions and with virtue.
والتعود على الصبر
And it makes the person become accustomed to having patience.
لأن الإنسان يرى الطعام أمامه ويرى الشراب أمامه ويرى الثلاجة مليئة بالطعام والشراب وليس أحد معه في البيت فيراقب الله عز وجل ويصبر على الطعام والشراب وعن زوجته ويراقب الله عز وجل ويحقق التقوى ويؤجر أجرا عظيما.
Because the individual, they will see food, they will see drink. It may be that they are left home alone and the fridge is full of food and there's no one there that can see them. But they feel the presence of Allah. They feel that Allah the Most High can see them. So they do not partake, they do not take any of this food or consume any of it or break their fast.
وفيه أيضا ثبات على المكاره يعني الإنسان يكره أن يمتنع عن الطعام والشراب والنكاح لكنه يثبت ويحتسب الأجر عند الله ويصبر ويمتنع امتثالا لأمر الله تعالى.
And also it makes an individual become accustomed to doing things that they don't necessarily like or find easy, because it's not necessarily easy for the individual to, or pleasurable for the individual not to eat, drink, or have relations. But they abstain from these things, seeking Allah's reward and seeking the hereafter.
وتشعر النفس أنها بحاجة دائمة إلى ربها وخالقها سبحانه وتعالى.
And the soul feels that it's in continual need of its Lord. May he be glorified.
أما إذا استمر الإنسان في أكله وشربه
As for if the individual continues in their eating and drinking,
فإنه يفقد كثيرا من هذه المعاني.
then they do not benefit many of these things that we have discussed.
فتنبسط نفسه إلى الشهوات.
So their soul, it becomes accustomed to following its desires.
وتضعف إرادتها ومقاومتها أمام المغريات.
And its will and determination is broken in front of those things it doesn't find necessarily pleasing.
لهذا جاءت أحاديث رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم.
For this reason, the narrations of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, have come
هادية ومرشدة في هذا الباب.
as a means of guidance as relates to this matter that we're talking about.
فقال عليه الصلاة والسلام فيما يرويه عن ربه حديث قدسي.
And the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said that Allah said in the what's called the hadith, I suppose you could call it the hadith that is the narration that's connected to Allah, al-Qudsi. Yeah.
نعم. قال الصيام جنة يعني الصيام وقاية بينك وبين النار وقاية بينك وبين عذاب الله عز وجل وقاية بينك وبين ارتكاب المعاصي والشهوات.
The fasting is a shield. It's a shield between the individual and their desires, between the individual and following their base desires, between the individual and Allah's punishment.
قال الصيام جنة يترك أحدكم طعامه وشرابه وشهوته من أجلي.
So the fasting is a shield. One of you will leave their eating and their drinking and their desires for me, for my sake.
يعني يكون أجره عظيما لأنه ترك هذه الأمور لأجل الله عز وجل وحده.
i.e., their reward will be great because they have left and abstained from these things for the sake of Allah the Most High.
وكذلك قال النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام للشباب يا معشر الشباب.
And also the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said to the youth, O youth,
من استطاع منكم الباءة فليتزوج، يعني من استطاع منكم القدرة المادية المالية الجسدية البدنية فليتزوج.
O youth, whosoever amongst you has the material and the bodily means to marry, then let them marry.
ومن لم يستطع فعليه بالصوم فإنه له وجاء، يعني الذي لا يستطيع أن يتزوج، ليس لديه مال وليس لديه قدرة جسدية أو نفسية على الزواج في هذه الأيام، فعليه بالصوم فإنه له وجاء، يعني يقطع شهوته. للإنسان إذا صام تضيق مجاري الدم وتضعف شهوة النكاح والرغبة إلى النساء. فلذلك أوصى الشباب الذين لا يستطيعون على الزواج وليس لديهم القدرة المادية والمالية على الزواج أن يكثروا من الصيام حتى يخفف عنهم شهوة الرغبة إلى النساء.
And whosoever does not have the material or the bodily means to get married, then upon them is fasting. For indeed, it is a means of cutting off the desires. And this is because the bloodstream and the blood flow within the individual, it drops. And also this leads to the desires dropping. So the fasting, the advice to those who cannot marry is to fast, because this kills off their desires.
ومن جرب ذلك عرف صدق هذا القول وصدق هذا النبي المصطفى صلى الله عليه وسلم.
And whosoever has tried this knows the truth that are contained within these words and the truth of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him.
كم بقي من الوقت؟
لعل يعني ننتهي شيخنا بعد يعني 5 دقائق هكذا.
طيب فعلا
ممكن
5 دقائق. ايوه نعم خلاص انتهيت، باقي 4 أسطر فقط.
حفظكم الله.
طيب آمين. وفي الصوم إعانة على إنفاذ الفكر، يعني من أكثر من الصيام يكون ذكاؤه متوقدا، لأن كثرة الطعام تبلد العقل والجسم والمخ.
And the individual who fasts, it acts as a preservation of their intellect, because overeating and eating all the time, it weakens the intellect and the individual's thinking.
ونحن نلاحظ هذا أن الإنسان إذا أكثر من الطعام أتاه النوم والخمول والكسل، أليس كذلك؟
بلى شيخنا بلى. And this is something that we notice, because when the individual eats and overeats, they'll notice that they're sluggish and they're tired and they're dim-witted.
وفي الصوم فيه إنفاذ البصيرة، يعني الإنسان تكون بصيرته قوية ونفسه طيبة وصدره مشروح وقلبه صاف.
And when the individual fasts, it's like they have a sharpness and they have an insight. And also their chest is expanded, meaning they're open to more.
وأخلاقه كذلك تتحسن ونفسه تزكو.
And also their character and conduct gets better and they purify themselves.
وجسمه يطيب ويتخلص من السموم والأمراض.
And their bodies detoxify from illnesses and harmful substances.
والأطباء في هذا الزمان ينصحون الناس بكثرة الصيام والصيام المتقطع حتى يصفو الجسم ويتخلص من السموم، وهذا قد أرشدنا به ديننا الحنيف قبل 1400 عام.
And doctors nowadays, they advise people to fast, and they advise this practice of intermittent fasting for these very reasons. But this was something that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, told us about 1400 years ago.
إلى غير ذلك من الفوائد الجليلة التي تؤدي إلى تقوى الله.
And there are more than this, from benefits of fasting that enable a person and facilitate a person to be fearful and mindful of Allah the Most High.
كما قال تعالى يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون.
And this is as Allah the Most High said, O you who have believed, fasting has been prescribed upon you as it was prescribed upon those who came before you, so that you may attain consciousness of Allah and fear of Allah.
وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وآله وصحبه وسلم.
And may Allah send peace, salutations and blessings upon the Prophet and upon his family and companions abundantly. أثابكم الله وبارك فيكم شيخنا لهذه الكلمات النافعة. We ask Allah to reward our Sheikh Muhammad Khiyat, for these beautiful words and this in-depth information about the fasting of the people who came before us. And we're very happy to see our Sheikh on this, and we hope to benefit from him during this upcoming Ramadan.
Inshallah, inshallah.
مفهوم شيخنا؟
نعم.
مفهوم هذا الكلام؟
ماذا قلت؟
نتمنى أن نستفيد منكم في أثناء رمضان أكثر.
إن شاء الله بإذن الله بإذن الله.
إن شاء الله. جزاك الله خير شيخ.
آمين وأنتم كذلك بارك الله.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
We are doing the Taraweeh in Milton Keynes Masjid, inshallah. So a notification will be going out next week, all throughout the week, every day. We'll be sending notifications out, inshallah, for Ramadan in Milton Keynes in British Sign Language. So visit the website islamfordeaf.co.uk to get more information, inshallah. And inshallah, again, during the Ramadan, hopefully we'll be visited by our Sheikh below Khayat.
Inshallah.
I did it right, huh? Okay. Jazakallah. Thank you very much, Tom. And we'll see you next week.
Welcome. You're welcome, inshallah. Welcome.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.